Well, good evening, Sigma race fans. We're getting ready for race number 29 in the Sigma Cup Series here in 2026. 2 races left in what we consider to be the regular season as we get started on the double points journey here shortly in another couple weeks. But we got 2 more races of regular points to go, and tonight at Michigan, the drivers line up and get ready to fight for the win. So firstly, I'm going to do something a little different here in the start to this this main event here tonight. I'm actually going to do a replay of the sprint qualifier, as we actually had an incident that took out some pretty heavy hitters. So here is the active replay. We'll go ahead and roll the tape. As you can see, last place on the field, 25th of 25 here in the sprint qualifier. Nate Newman blows up on lap 25. As he's rolling around the track, he does not get down below the apron. This does not facilitate a caution, so all the leaders behind are coming full speed ahead. And as you can see here, John Hagan with the race lead, as well as Santi Messi and Sebastian Galloway Jr. They're all rolling up on the slow traffic, and the 20 gets pegged by your race leader. Rolling through the mess, you have the 54 of Sebastian, the 24 of Snake Plissken making it through unscathed. But there is a lot more cars involved in this melee. A definitive mess to start out the night here in Michigan. As you can see, the 8 here of Cannon Gage had a good run going in the top 5. As that 20 car gets pegged by the leader, Cannon Gage gets hit. He goes for a spin. He goes for a flip. He gets pegged there by Shy Turtle, and he's spinning like a top on the race surface here, flipping and tumbling. The 3, Ralph Oberstadt makes it through unscathed. The 27 of Adam Starr not as fortunate. Tough break for Cannon Gage. Had a good car, needed to survive and did not do that. Some big moves by the 24 and the 54 to make it through. The 60 as well comes through clean. A few of the other drivers not as fortunate though, as we watch the tape a little bit further back here. The wreck. The 1 gets some damage. The 5, the 0, Craig the Void. Your race leader at that point was John Hagan, and he gets knocked out of the mess. No one really came through clean. There was a lot of carnage going on there. I think the best replay might be on the in-car cam here of Kara and Tyler Shangle. As you watch in as they come rolling up on the scene of the action here. You see debris flying through the air. The seas opened up just barely, and Kara and Tyler were both able to make it through. Watch a different camera angle here just to see how tight it really was. We'll go to our drone cam. There's 53 of Santi Messi, the 8 spinning around like a top, the 33 of Shy Turtle. And that's really the most of it there, folks. I mean, it was a nasty, big wreck here at Michigan. You know, at the big tracks with a lot of speed, usually they wreck faster and harder. So, but this is just the sprint qualifier. These were the drivers not yet in the main event, trying to make the main event. And so, as you already saw in the Discord server, the drivers that were locked into tonight's main event after surviving the mess that was the sprint qualifier here. It's so crazy seeing the debris flying through the air, landing on the track like that. It's so cool. You can see that was Santi Messi's number 53 front bumper laying on the ground there. I'm amazed here with the maneuverability of the 3 of Ralph Oberstadt. Dude, I think he might have even touched the 8 car there. Watch this. And he made the main event. His car kind of buckled there a little bit, and I think he made it without very much damage. So there you have it, folks. That is the setup here for tonight's main event. Like I said, race 29 getting ready and roaring here. 43 cars will take to the field for 200 laps, 400 miles, the distance here at Michigan International Speedway. Just kind of an appetizer, as we always usually have some big wrecks and chaos at this track. Sprint qualifier did not disappoint. And here we have it. Pole position for Monty Shangle in the Greg Biffle Tribute, number 16 machine, alongside your points leader, the 43 of Taden Berggren. Sebastian Galloway Jr. with a top 5 in qualifying here alongside Lynn Farrell. And then it's Jacob Shangle and Tasha Wright. Tom Cording and Brian DeBlank. DeBlank after a rough night last night, trying to look for some redemption here today. Bradley Ream and James Fireball Robert. Snake Plissken and Cooper Dwight, followed by Kara Shangle and Al Bunch. Wyatt Wilkinson and Finley Herwig. Chad Hertenstein and Tyler Aspinall, followed by Tyler Shangle and Ryan White. Jimmy Logano, who was pole position at Ricky Raceway last night, starting mid-pack here alongside Chaz Chadwick. And it's Lucas Holmes and Braden Varga. Chris Harvey and Alex Crowther, Louis Trost and Elizabeth Shangle. Kellen Relic and Luis Rodriguez, Eli the Wolf and Preston Kundo, Tristan Reams and Kevin Xavier, Karsten Bowers and Ralph Oberstadt, Brandon Butler II with Rich Roy, Tyler Landa and Trevor Walker, Jack Ross and Jonah Burridge, with Jamie McMurphy rounding out the field here today. Should be a good one. As always, get buckled in for the long haul tonight. 200 laps, 400 miles, kind of an endurance link. But here with Michigan's pace, we might be done with this race within 2 hours. So it's a little bit early in the morning, so it might not be a popcorn time, but maybe grab a bowl of cereal, get a fresh fruit, something as a snack, and just get settled in. Or if you're like me, maybe grab a cup of coffee, put in a little bit of sugar and creamer. We're going to get ready for some good old-fashioned Sigma Cup racing here tonight. I've been working with trying to get the Steel Horse Live overlay figured out, and that will be a green light for our Bridge to Cup, Full Send to Cup championship battle as we get set for that in August here. But we have 2 more races in the regular season. We're going to use the old school GNL TV tracker as we have for the longest time here with Sigma. It's so awesome to see more upgrades to the NR2003 game through the community like this, and Steel Horse Live is definitely one of the coolest things I've seen in a while. So we're going to have some more gadgets and tools and shiny things to work with in Sigma. Good run here out of the gate from Monty Shangle from pole position. He's going to lead here on the first lap. And no stranger to winning this year. Monty Shangle in the 16 with 3 wins so far. His son Jacob has had 4 wins, so the 2 Biffle cars have gone back and forth, winning 3 and 4 wins respectively. Monty sits about 11th in the points. Jacob sits 10th in the points. That was prior to scoring for Ricky Raceway. We haven't scored yet. Looks like fastest lap belongs to Carson Bowers out of the gate here. And we're already single file at the front of the field as Monty leads over Taden Berggren, Sebastian Galloway Jr., Jacob Shangle, and Lynn Farrell. Tasha Wright and her teammate there, Tom Cording, next in line, followed by Brian DeBlanc and James Fireball Robert. That's your top 10. But then it's a bit more mixed party back here, 2, 3 wide. A little bit harder to get sorted and settled here for the top 15, top 20. Kind of have to make up all the moves on the restarts here at Michigan. It's not impossible to make a move through the race, but it definitely helps when you're side by side on the restarts. Three wide action there for about 20th on back. Ryan White in that number 64 machine. Pretty neat to see a new face in for full-time chartered action here. Ryan White was racing as an unchartered driver up until last week. Getting the call up. Whoa, it's getting a little bit crazy here. Three wide. Don't want to see a wreck this early in the race. Kind of want to give them all a chance to race for it here. Still taking some time to get the arm wrestle figured out for settling it up single file here in the mid-pack. Yeah, good statement there as Bridge to Cup has 6 races left this season for the title, one of which happens to be Michigan. So for one of your title contenders like Sebastian Galloway Jr., he's getting seat time here tonight to try and get sorted and ready for the championship battle once the Bridge to Cup Series rolls through Michigan. We go 3 wide for the race lead. Sebastian goes the low side here. It's Ford versus Chevy versus Toyota right at the line. Sebastian's going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone as he goes below the 2 of them to try and take the race lead. Taking over the top spot, Monty led the first 7 laps, but now it is Sebastian Galloway Jr. to the top spot in that Monster Energy 54. He ended up winning the sprint qualifier to make the main event here, so that could be a good omen perhaps. Rolling by 2 of the fastest cars this year. That is no small feat to pull off. Monty and Tayden have been the stars of the Sigma Cup Series this year, and just heads up overhaul them like that for the lead is impressive. Looks like we got kind of a settlement here at the front of the field. Let's hop to the back of the field and see how everyone's doing. Jonah Burridge on a part-time schedule makes the main event here tonight along with Jack Ross. Followed by the 76 there of Jamie McMurphy getting the call up to that 76 machine, which was last seated by Ryan White. 41st in the field. 40th it is Rich Roy, Tristan Reams, Tyler Landa, Ralph Oberstadt kind of at the tail end of the lead draft group, that is, it looks like. As if you look at the times, the 3 is only 5.5 seconds back the lead. So that is probably the tail end of the speed cars here today. These are still definitely not as fast as the front row, but don't discredit them with a little bit of strategy. They might be able to figure out Michigan here tonight. With Michigan and Pocono, the last 2 races on the calendar, typically they lend themselves to more strategy-based racing. Fuel mileage can factor in almost any guaranteed week, so we will see how this race unfolds here tonight. Things are getting a little bit chaotic here as they're doubled up for about 3rd on back. The game's going to crash. I'm still hoping someday that whatever moments we get with these game crashes, at least we were only on lap 11, but man, it would be so nice to have a brand new game. Wrong button. Well, that's what we call in Sigma a weather delay or a grid blackout. Happens once in a while. Sometimes it's just unpredictable and out of our control. But usually a restart, a fresh, clean start gives us a chance.
Touch all your seatbelts, touch your Hans.
I still need to take the suggestions of other.
Touch all your seatbelts,
We'll roll with it. I think we got most of the same people up front that need to be there. Monty didn't get the pole. Tayden gets the pole. Which is fine. It's not always about where the pole sets. Sometimes you have to race for it and earn it, and so this is the restart here tonight. Tayden Bergeron and James Fireball Robert on the front row, followed by Jacob Shangle and Sebastian Galloway Jr. 28 of Jimmy Logano, the 45 of Tyler Aspinall, with the 81 of Al Bunch and the 16 of Monty Shangle, the 90 of Tasha Wright, and the 78 of Bradley Ream. So frustrating that the game does this, but we got to roll with it. Sometimes it's just the way of Sigma racing. I love Michigan. I hope for the best race here tonight because we always get some good battles up at the front of the field. There's always some excitement for the race win, just like that 3-wide move by Sebastian Galloway Jr. for the race lead. And he's trying to think about it already out of the gate. He kind of stuck his nose up there but thought better of it, knowing that that window would close pretty quickly here. They roll 3x3. They aren't singling up very quickly here. They're going to try to carry this momentum 3-wide for a while on the initial start here. Wide on back here. Monty stuck way up high there. That could be the problem zone. Looks like Sebastian might be able to settle into third here if he can close the door on Jimmy Logano, that of which he does. So the goal is to make it to lap 12. As long as that happens, I don't want to jinx anything, obviously, but first go through, we didn't make it past that, so the goal is lap 12. If we do that, I think we'll be fine. We'll be golden, able to sail through the day here with the rest of the racing. Sebastian making a good charge here to try and catch up to your two leaders. We'll see if the lap times change. James Fireball Robert with the fastest lap on the first set of laps there as they come around for lap 4. Looks like Fireball still maintains that fastest lap. No, actually, Sebastian should be the fastest lap. There you go, 36.331 for Sebastian Galloway Jr. Finlay Herwig up to 5th there, right behind the 28 of Jimmy Logano. Here comes Sebastian reeling in that 95. And now it's a little bit different story here. There's no Ford in the mix, but it is Chevy versus Cadillac versus Toyota. and a Hyundai also, a Genesis in the mix as well, right there behind the other Chevy. Sebastian takes a deep dive down. A pair of Kyle Busch tribute cars there, the Skittles 95 versus the Monster Energy 54. And he's right there alongside the guy who sits second in the points. Sebastian, not really a contender for this Cup title, as he is a part-timer, and he's putting on one heck of a part-time series. Kind of the equivalent of a Corey Heim here in our Sigma Cup with select starts, and who knows, maybe could get some Corey Heim luck mixed in there as well. Doesn't get the move on the 95, actually falls backwards here for a minute, and that helps close the gap from 5th on back up into the top of the picture. It's going to be interesting with the double points around the corner here. We just saw last night how pivotal it could be for a bad race to really knock you out. And Tayden, your points leader, finished dead last at Ricky Raceway. Hard hit in the points. We haven't scored yet, but it's definitely going to be noticeable once we score it. He's trying to make up for that here today in Michigan. Finley with the fastest lap now. Might be a battle brewing for the race lead here between the 95 and the 43. Tayden has led the first 8-9 laps now. Good run by the 95. He knows that he needs to beat the 43 heads up every week right now to really maximize that points game, as he has not yet closed the gap on the 43 for the overall lead in the championship. So where Sigma's kind of interesting because we don't do a playoff, we don't do a chase, we do double points. That means just about everyone is still mathematically alive at the end of Pocono. And when we start rolling into those double points, you could really make up a huge difference of points if the top dogs start having bad races. Top 10 rounded out here with Brian DeBlanc. Jimmy Logano getting into the picture. He wants to try and win some more races. He ended up winning recently at, I want to say it was Gateway. Yeah, Gateway he won. He denied Jacob Shangle the three-peat after Jacob had won at Brands Hatch, New Hampshire, and was rolling into Gateway with the potential of being 3 in a row. Jacob came home second at Gateway to Jimmy Logano and was denied the three-peat. Good run here. These guys starting to close the gap back up. Top 5 all within the same frame shot here. Finley having a good run in that 68. He had a car capable of winning the 777 annual, and some unfortunate time cautions kind of knocked him out of the best spot to get the win. Still brought it home top 10, but was definitely hoping for way better. The win was in reach, and it just came up short. Made it to lap 12 here. Thankfully, ain't about to jinx it, but I kind of have a feeling when I know the game's mechanics, when it starts doing stuff, I've kind of studied it almost like a science project, and whenever it crashes that first time, if you reset it a couple times, it'll actually work fine. So good run going here. Your top 5 really closing the gap. This might be a battle for the lead waiting to happen here. Jimmy Logano goes low. Finley stays high. Jimmy's going to force the 95 to the outside groove here. 68's drafting with the outside help, though. Could be interesting on the backside. That 68 might push the 95 back by the 28. And Finley trying to pass Jimmy Logano on the high side. Here comes Sebastian Galloway Jr. as well, making a big dash up into the picture there. There we go. Jimmy Logano loses the spot, falls back to 4th and maybe even 5th if Sebastian Galloway Jr. has anything to say about it. Finley up to 3rd. See Fireball and Finley still top 2. Or rather, not Finley, but Taden. There we go. What's neat about this is Michigan and Pocono, both very specifically unique tracks in their design, kind of unique from the typical circuit, you know, that we race at. And both races are going to be 400 miles, 200 laps here today, 200 laps tomorrow, both of which are 2 miles in distance, the racetrack. Gotta love it. It's kind of the coolest way to end a regular season, going to 2 of the more unique track layouts. We're going to kick it off with Darlington and Tri-City Raceway as kind of the double points start to the season. Here goes Sebastian Galloway Jr. for 3rd, 3 wide for that position. Jimmy Logano goes around the outside. Finley gets stuck in the middle. And Jimmy Logano kills 2 birds with 1 stone, getting back up into 3rd place there. Finley kind of stuck up high to dry there. Lead 2 remain unchanged though, as they continue to just hold serve up front. Tasha making the move around the 54 here. Looks like the 60 and even the 81 getting into the picture. Tyler Shangle in the 7. There's plenty of racing to go here today. Let's take a look at the crew chief notes here. 50 laps. Pretty much a perfect 3-stop race, maybe a 4-stopper. They will likely be racing to about lap 45 for that first stint of pit stops. Even though this is kind of classified as a super speedway, we don't do the plate racing super speedway rules here at Michigan. We kind of keep the race rolling without throwing a comp caution, so. But you never know. There might be some big wrecks here. There might be a couple cautions to slow the race pace down a little bit. There's your top 5 right now, as Tasha Wright closing in on the top 4 ahead of her there. She's going to try to stick it down low here and make it 3 wide with Jimmy Logano and Finley Herwig. And has to settle in back behind him. KBM having a good run here with the 95 and the 90 in the top 5 at the moment. What's crazy is you see them lose the draft, fall backwards, and then they start kind of coming back like a slinky. You know, the gap continues to ebb and flow here at Michigan. You might see them kind of falter a little bit. It's probably that dirty air, a lot like what we hear in the current NASCAR Next Gen. When you get that dirty air, the car just falls off a cliff. And then you get back in the draft and you're rolling right through it again. But Michigan is a beast. It is home track for KBM here, so that might help with the reason behind two of them running in the top 5. They kind of pour their extra resources into the home track, hoping for a race win. Tasha Wright in the 90 and James Fireball Robert in the 95. Quite the polarizing comparison of races here. The first one we had Monty up leading, and then he lost the lead pretty quickly to Sebastian Galloway Jr. Now it has been the Taden Berggren show since the start here. Sucks that we get robbed of such great racing and then we get stuck with kind of a lackluster Wish.com version. Finley up to third again. See if he can make anything of it. Clean air is king is what we're noticing here. If you're up there leading, it doesn't matter. Everyone else kind of gets stuck in the draft, in the dirty air. Jimmy Logano falling backwards now as Sebastian's right there alongside of him. That inside line, though, not prevailing very well. He's going to lose the grip on the 28 as he gets back around him. Top 3 breakaway, though, at the front of the field. They're flying around 200 some miles an hour around this racetrack. Even in the turns, they're still maintaining 180 miles an hour. Pretty crazy. You almost consider that to be like IndyCar status when you can carry the speed above 180 all the time. Here we go, 68 Finley making the move here. We do run at Michigan unrestricted, no restrictor plate. We allow these cars to go as fast as humanly possible, knowing that the safety factor really isn't a concern when we're racing in Sigma Cup. Sigma Truck, Sigma Bridge to Cup, whichever it ends up being. So no restrictor plate allows for some very spread out racing. We got a blown engine, 15 of Tristan Reams, who was already dead last in the field. And we will throw a caution manually because it doesn't seem like the game has picked that up yet. Maybe it'll pick it up now. There we go. Caution is out here at lap number 26. First of the race. Tristan Reams was already dead last in the field anyways. Just blows up after the start-finish line. A lot like the 20 of Nate Newman in the sprint qualifier here today. On lap 25, it's kind of funny. He was running 25th and blew up on lap 25. Crazy, weird comparison there. First caution, but at least we didn't tear up half the field like the sprint qualifier did. Everyone was pretty mindful of staying away from the blown up engine of the 15 there. Solo blow up. And the first round of pit stops here on lap 27. Gonna be interesting to see what strategies unfold here. Huge advantage for Taden Berggren to have the #1 pit stall here, meaning he can get in and get out just as quickly and probably minimize lost potential on pit road here. It's like it's going to be about the same 1, 2, 3 as you have Taden and Fireball coming out 1, 2, and with the 68 of Finley bringing it out third there. Jimmy Logano fourth and Tasha Wright fifth. Big gainer for Tyler Shangle as he catapults himself from top 10, maybe up into the top 5, up to about 6th there. Karashangle from top 15 to top 10. And Sebastian falls backwards here to about 10th on pit stops here. So, only a single car caution there for the blown up 15 of Tristan Reams. See the update here and figure out what caused it. Looks like a piston failure. So knocked out of tonight's race here at Michigan with a failed piston. Under caution a little bit longer here, so let us take a look at some of the details of the race so far. The tail of the tape. Only one driver has led any laps here tonight so far through the first 28 laps. It's all been Taden Berggren leading the 28 laps out of the gates. Fireball Robert and Finlay Herwig have been keeping it pretty close. As you can see, there's your top 30. Everyone has made a pit stop. Everyone's back out there on the track now, so. Big gainers, Karashangle and Tom Cording. At the moment, Sebastian Galloway Jr. and Al Bunch have lost spots. Monty Shangle holding about where he started here tonight. Brian DeBlanc dropped backwards. Snake Plissken on the move. He's moved up from his qualifying position into 14th. Chris Harvey and Lynn Farrell also moving. Jacob Shangle had a bad pit stop, falling all the way back to 17th after having a run up there in the top 10 for the first 30 laps here tonight. Preston Kundo on the move, and a few other drivers making some moves throughout the depths of the field here. But ultimately, it's been kind of a one-man show at the front of the field. Taden Berggren holding down the fort. Alrighty, the restarts are where the magic happened here in the Sigma Cup. Let us see exactly who is going to come out on top with the big restart here and who might fall flat. Usually the outside line is a big advantage on the restarts. James Fireball Robert gets to start on the high side here. Michigan, it's not as big of a factor because the speeds they carry through the turns allows that inside line to kind of maintain a special, unique advantage. But I guarantee you that it's going to be the 95 that will lead the lap here on the restart. Unlike most national motorsports, we don't have a rule that the leader has to lead at the line on these restarts. It's kind of fair game, all for one. And there you have it, 95 with a good jump here. 43 was snoozing. And that's what makes Sigma so unique. We have our own rules specific to the series that you don't see in any other motorsport. 95 gets to lead a lap. And it's part of the reason why it's almost impossible to lead from green to checkered here in the Sigma Racing Series. Not bad though, holding in right there in the mix. 3 wide, a little bit deeper back outside the top 10. But Tayden now on the defense rather than the offense on the attack. Here goes Finley down with a charge. He's going to come blown by the 43 here. Low side of the 3 wide action there. The 68 has the inside line advantage. Tayden stuck up in the middle groove there. He's going to hold it off for now, but that 68's got a fast car. Baumgart's 43 doing what he does, leading races up front. So one caution here today at lap 25. Got back to green here, and it's getting good. So Steel Horse Live is going to be neat because we actually can keep the rolling ticker as it is, the horizontal ticker, which is definitely my preference. I'm not a big fan of the vertical ticker on the left-hand side. I've always grown up accustomed to the above ticker, just like we have here. But we have so many tools at our disposal. I can actually make it so that every car number is actually featured in the ticker. That way we can have a more realistic feeling broadcast. It's going to be awesome. So keep your eyes peeled for more updates as I continue to unfold the next rendition of Sigma broadcasting here in the next couple weeks. Look at that, 43 of Tayden Bergeron on the inside trying to get that lead back. 95 is going to defend on the high side, and they are starting to reel in the leaders here. Good push by Fireball, keeps him the lead. And now you got Sebastian Galloway 3 wide for 4th place, as it's a free-for-all right now. They are trying their hardest to fight for the lead while the getting is good. Here comes Tom courting. Sebastian closes the door there, maintaining a top 5 at the moment. Finley gets stuck up high, and he's going to carry that momentum around the high side here. Sebastian kind of a sit and duck on the inside without a drafting buddy. No drafting help. He's probably going to get freight trained on the outside. Here goes Finley around him. Finley does not make the move, though, as Sebastian maintains 5th. And Tayden, now the furthest back he's been all day, all the way back to 4th. From race lead to 4th place, and kind of rocking in the backward direction here. That Baumgart's 43 having a rough restart. Jimmy Logano up to 2nd, the highest he's been in a while. But all of a sudden it's a KBM 1-3, and even closer in the picture, they still have the 30 running in 9th. So good day for KBM. They've also had their 5th car make the entry field here tonight, the 3 of Ralph Oberstadt. 55, Luis Rodriguez having a bit of a rough go of it in 22nd. And Ralph Oberstadt, not quite the same pace. It's a work in progress for that 5th car. You know, once you get 5 cars in the garage, that 5th car kind of gets spread thin on resources. So it sucks for Ralph that he's not able to have the same pace as his 4 teammates up ahead of him. That's just kind of the, you know, the beast of the nature of the beast, I mean. That you get a 5-car field, you're going to be spreading one of those 5 cars pretty thin. Up to 3rd again, here comes Tayden Bergeron on the rebound. 3 wide behind him. Sebastian makes the move looking for 4th. Tasha stuck up on the high side. Finley in the middle. They're going to maintain 3 wide through the backstretch and into turn 3. They carried that 3 wide. Oh, Sebastian's dropping a little bit here. comes Monty on the resurgence as well. There you have it, your top three bunching back up here, lap 42. We had that caution at lap 25, so that kind of mixes up the fuel windows again here. We would be looking at the next round of pit stops coming around lap 70 to 74. And we'll see if we can make it green flag or if we get a caution to get to lap 70 and on. First caution here tonight was for a blown engine. Piston failure on the 15 of Tristan Reams. Blew up from dead last in the field. Parked it on the backstretch, and we called the caution. So Michigan is kind of an interesting track that we've been to more than once on certain years. And the stat log is very interesting. We've had 22 races at Michigan through the first 16 seasons of action. The inaugural winner back in 2010 was Kellen Relic. 2011, we saw Jacob Schenkel get his first of many here at Michigan, actually. 2012 was a double where we had 2 races. One was won by Jun Sanu, and the second race was won by Jacob Schenkel, his second win. He led 101 laps that day to win it. 2013 was James Mandeville, followed by Ty Dillon for the second race in 2013. Larry Lusk did it in 2014, followed by another win by Ty Dillon. So this is a track that tends to lend itself to certain drivers figuring it out. They usually have some aces up their sleeve. 2015, we saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kevin Harvick for the 2 races run. Matt Kenseth and Emily Bose, the 2 drivers that won it in 2016. And then 2017, it was Takuma Sato and Brad Keselowski. So a lot of real-life racers mixed in there with some of our Sigma community racers, the diehard veterans and the real-life racer arm wrestle pretty much through the first 7 years of its existence. 2018, one of the OGs, Dalton Scott, got his first win here. Will Power did in 2019. Kellen Relic got his second win. Nelson Chacon got his first. Alexander Rossi, as we're going here, it's 1 year to piece. There was no more double headers from 2018 to 2025. In 2023, getting into the modern era, Chaz Chadwick won here. Jacob Schenkel got his 3rd win here in 2024, and Al Bunch did it last year in 2025. So as we're talking about those stats, look at the battle now brewing at the front of the field. Here comes Taden Berggren. Monty Schenkel's in the picture. Finley Herwig. Fireball goes high and gets stuck up there to dry. But Finley now moving in there up to 2nd. And it looks like a hornet's nest up here in the front of the field. As you can see, Finley in 3rd. Taden takes back over the top spot, which is no big surprise. But how about some of the names in the top 10? You've got Brian DeBlanc, you've got Kara Shangle, you've got Tom Cording, and a lot of the usual suspects that we often see up in the top 10, but definitely a good cast of characters right now fight for this win here today at Michigan. Al Bunch obviously wants to try and defend with the win here last year, bring it back up front to fight for the win again here this year. And it looks like we have a slight dip in the broadcast. It looks like frame rates are picking back up here, dropping back up. Internet being funky. There we go. It looks like we've got our broadcast back. The bars are picking back up here. At least the internet's been working slightly better this summer. It hasn't been as out of control as it was at the beginning of the year. But we are currently officially 1/4 of the way through today's race here at Michigan. Here comes Finley on the attack for second place. So more details on Michigan, going back through the Michigan lore. There's so much to dig into. We've had 18 different winners in 22 races. Typical winner starts somewhere in the top 20. Actually, average start is 17th. 9 of the 22 winners started top 10. 10 of the 22 started 20th or worst. And 2 winners actually came from 30th on back, including Jun Sanu, who did it from 42nd, from dead last to win it. He only led 4 laps in that race. And the other driver was Takuma Sato, who did it from 37th. So a pair of Japanese drivers figuring it out from nearly the back of the field to win it here in Michigan. Typical average DNF count is about 8, so we usually see about 8 retirements. There's on average about 2.5 cautions, so we're rolling in an average right now with 1 caution so far. Average lead changes, it's about 19.2. 19 on average, so there has been 1 caution-free race, and there has been 1 pole winner to win it from the pole. It's not an attrition, race, kind of like Charlotte and Ricky Raceway, but rather kind of a muscle race. It's a speed race. It's a determination of pure speed and grit to survive a long, enduring race without many cautions. Typically, Michigan it's a chess match. You got to be there from start to finish, and you gotta have to work your way through the traffic with strategy calls and whatnot to really make the most of it. Because you're not going to get the advantage of very many cautions to help get you bunched back up. It is a full-on battle from start to finish. What's interesting, though, is Jacob Shangle's repeated victory lane trips here, 2011, 2012, and 2024. You should not take that lightly, because he could show up here again tonight with the same success. Kellen Relic, even though he's on a dry spell, he has won here twice. But here's what's fascinating. His wins have come in 2010 and 2020. So that means he's on pace to win it again in 2030, given the past results. That would be wild if Kellen came back and did it again in 2030, kind of the decade definer, winning every decade here at Michigan. Ty Dillon was a kind of a blip on the radar in Sigma Cup. He actually ended up winning the Sigma Winter Series. We kind of tried to do our equivalent of the heat that they used to do during the winter, and Ty Dillon actually won that to join the Cup Series full time in, I want to say, 2013, and he ended up winning back-to-back years here at Michigan. So the one driver that did win from pole position was Nelson Chacon back in 2021. That is the only time it's ever happened, only once. So typically leading the most laps does convert on a near 40% average. If you lead the most laps here at Michigan, you often do convert to be the race winner at the end of the night. So that might sound good for the likes of Taden Bergeron, who's really racking up the bonus points for leading the most laps here today. 9 of 22 races has been won by the guy or the gal that has led the most laps here at Michigan. The rest of the names included in those 9 of 22 races includes the likes of Jacob Shangle in 2012, Larry Lusk and Ty Dillon in 2014, Dale Jr. and Kevin Harvick in 2015, followed by Brad Keselowski in 2017, Dalton Scott in 2018, Alexander Rossi in 2022, and Al Bunch in 2025. The only time that we've seen it back-to-back years was 2014 to 15, 2017 to 2018. The rest have been kind of scattered, so maybe a bad sign for Taden if it's not consecutive years that we've seen it lately. Al Bunch's dominance was unheard of. 169 of 200 laps led. He led 85% of the race. That is crazy. We don't typically see that here in the Sigma Cup Series, so that win last year was a beatdown. And what's crazy, in only 3 starts, Al Bunch is second all-time in Michigan laps led. Only 3 starts. That is crazy. And the rest of the drivers are folks that have been there pretty much since 2010. Jacob Shangle, laps led here at Michigan, 322 laps, 3 wins. Al Bunch did it in 3 years. Jacob Shangle did it in 16 seasons. Kellen Relic, third, and he's done it over the span of a 16-season career. Then you have Brad Keselowski, Dale Jr., who've been retired from Sigma Cup. Dalton Scott also retired from Sigma Cup. Monty Shangle, 180 laps led, but has never converted to a race win. So yeah, in the biggest curse department, Monty Shangle definitely holds the cake there. 22 starts, 0 wins, only 1 top 5, 9 top 10s, 180 laps led, but he has an average finish of 16th, which is not bad. That 1 top 5 was a second here. That is definitely a tough pill to swallow. Tyler Shangle, 22 starts, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, 7 top 10s, 120 laps led. His average finish is a little bit deeper as his bad races have been really bad. A 19th average finish here at Michigan. They've both participated in all 22 races without winning, but Jacob has 3. So it goes to show that, you know, some folks just have a better knack for this track. Hopefully Monty can kind of buck the monkey off his shoulders here today at Michigan. Lap traffic in the mix here. Here goes the 95 Fireball going for the lead on Taden Bergeron. Lap traffic's going to slow him up a little bit. Good battles all around the track. Now your lead group getting a little bit held up here with the 00 of Jack Ross. Jack Ross gets thrown out in the back there as your lead group. Whoa, the 30 gets way out of line. I don't know if it has a flat tire or what. Tom Cording jumped way high there. There's an engine failure by the 94. What in the world was that all about? The 30 just broke loose. From 5th place, Tom Cording makes a mistake and gets stuck up high there. I don't know if maybe there's some debris or oil on track, but the 94 does blow up right at the start-finish line from 33rd. Looks like he makes it down to the apron here. I don't like how the AI decide to run in the middle of the race line. That didn't facilitate a full course caution, amazingly enough. We stay green. Second retirement here tonight. In chat, should we throw a caution for oil down? What do you think? Yes or no? Now we'll go ahead and throw a comp caution for blown engine there from Eli the Wolf. Process will go ahead and make green-white checkers happen so that in case we need it later on. Debris and oil has been spotted on the track. Number 30 was first one to call it in when he had to get out of the racing line there. That was a call from the 30 team. And NASCAR officials, Sigma officials, looked it over, making sure that it was legit, and it was. So we have our second caution here today at lap 66. Tatenberger, your race leader, over the 95 of James Fireball Robert. Well, we have a change in... Okay, no, my bad. I don't know how Finley keeps jumping him on pit exit. He always gets up there to the lead and then falls back in line to where he was. So it takes 4 laps under caution here at Michigan. Your lap traffic is going to pit this time by. Your leaders after the pit stop, it looks like Tatenberger is still going to maintain the lead over James Fireball Robert. Jimmy Logano and Finley Herwig, followed by Monty Shangle, Tyler Shangle, Lynn Farrell, holy cow, jumps from 23rd up into 7th place. Big gain there for the 69 team, coming way back. 8th place, Tasha Wright. 9th place, Brandon Butler the second, and Sebastian Galloway Jr. rounding out your top 10. Tom Cording, Brian DeBlanc, Chris Harvey, Preston Kundo, and Jacob Schenkel. That's your top 15. Followed by Al Bunch, Braden Varga, Bradley Ream, Chad Hertenstein, and Kara Schenkel. Wyatt Wilkinson, Tyler Aspinall, Alex Crowther, Ryan White, Louis Trost, and Liz Schenkel. Ralph Oberstadt, Cooper Dwight, Carson Bowers, Trevor Walker, Chaz Chadwick, Kellen Relic, Kevin Xavier, Rich Roy, Luis Rodriguez, and Jamie McMurphy, with Tyler Landa, Snake Plissken, and Lucas Holmes. 00 will get the wave around. Jonah Burge will remain one lap down here. While we're under caution here, let's dig a little bit deeper in that Michigan lore. Another driver notable for consistency here has definitely been Kellen Relic. 16 starts, 2 wins, 5 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and only 1 DNF. Has an average finish of 13th and has led 230 laps. So half of his Michigan starts have all resulted in top 10s, which is pretty crazy. But it looks like today might be on the low side of that fortune, as he is deep in the field, about 30th here. Crazy. Scott Dixon, a champion of the Sigma Cup Series, had 7 starts here, 0 wins, but he had 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 169 laps, and leading with 0 DNFs. Average finish of 14th, but a champion in his right. It's crazy that all the time he spent in the series, he wasn't able to win here. We actually had 0 DNFs in 2010, 0 DNFs in 2016, and only 1 DNF in 2024. Those are just the lightest samples. Some of the races here are typically very light on carnage once it gets to the Cup race, but when they do wreck, it's pretty big. So, and he shows the extreme difficult, the variation of that. 2021 we had 20 DNFs. 2019 we had 18. 2015 we had 16 DNFs, so it's kind of roll the dice here once you get to Michigan. When they do wreck, they wreck huge, but if we stay clean all night, I mean, it's usually a clean race from start to finish, with everyone almost finishing the race. Not very often do you see a trend like that where it's very volatile and spread throughout the years. I mean, 2015, 2019, and 2021, those were roughly 3 different stints in Sigma Cup history, and we saw some pretty gnarly wrecks. But as recent as 2024, we only had 1 DNF at the second to last race that we had here. Four wide in the background. This could be a wreck waiting to happen. Monty stuck on the midline there. He's going to close the door on the 28, but they're still 3 and 4 wide behind. This is a wreck waiting to happen. Sebastian's right there. Finley's in the mix with it as well. 4 wide. Tyler gets shuffled way outside there. Sebastian might be able to survive for a moment, but that is dangerous. This restart looking ugly. Yeah, and just like that, out of nowhere, the 42 has shown up to the party. Out of nowhere, the 42 of Brandon Butler II doing what he does best, coming out and showing up at the end of the race. Monty up to 3rd, Tayden in 2nd, and James Fireball Robert leading. We got bots in the chat, dang it. Didn't think we would get bots. Maybe it's because it's so early in the day, the bots are actually awake. Who knows? I don't know what kind of timetable they function on. It's been a while, but easily handled there. Dropped the band hammer as quickly as I could. I guess we at least applaud them for helping boost our view count here. That's the only thing they're good for, I hope. They're not good for much else. Well, your top 10 now gets kind of established here. Tom Cording in 10th. Sebastian Galloway Jr. in 9th. Jacob Schenkel in 8th. Finlay Herwig in 7th. Glenn Farrell in 6th. Then it is Jimmy Logano in 5th. Monty in 4th. Brandon Butler in 3rd. Second is James Fireball Robert, and the leader, Tayden Berggren. Tayden and his teammate doing what they do best, working their way up to the front at the end of the race. Tayden's been there all day, but his teammate has methodically worked his way up there to fight for the race win with his team owner. $122 laps to go. 2 cautions here today. One for debris, well, both of them for oil down, basically. Retirements on the field. Why is it not let me ban them? They're not let me ban them anymore. Why is he? Oh my lord. These bots are getting smarter. I can't even, I'm trying to report it and it won't let me report it. Lame. Bots actually telling other people to shut up. That's pretty wild. That's like these bots are kind of getting sentient on us. Battle for second there. The 42 goes low on the 95. Opens the door. The 95 stuck on the high side. 120 laps left to go. This time by it'll be 119 laps left to go. Heck, I've got 13 tuned in right now. I don't think I've ever had that many during a cup race. So even if the bots are annoying, my view counts are up there for whatever reason. Maybe because of the bots, but still, the bots, they can screw off for the most part. I don't really enjoy having to sit here and remove all their comments manually. Yeah, it's getting to the point where strategy might become a very pivotal moment here in today's race as we're rolling in on the halfway point. Cautions are far and few between. I'm going to be keeping my eyes on the chat log here to make sure if there's any other mechanical failures that may facilitate a caution. But as things are going right now, it doesn't seem like we're going to have very many big wrecks as our Cup drivers are putting on a stellar performance here today at Michigan. Brief pause so we can save the midpoint replay here. Race 29 of 44. Those extra 2 races were added on after I created Tri-City Raceway for NR2003. Replay saved. You said it and I didn't, and I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of truth to that statement, but I don't know if I want to say it directly on the broadcast. Obviously, some idiot bred this this bot. No, I don't want to pin a message. I want to report. I'm trying to report differently because it's not even doing its job like it used to. Usually, you report it and it cancels them out, but it doesn't do that anymore. Usually, you report them and it'll delete all the messages and restrict them from sending more. I've reported and they're still able to send messages. Monty up to 3rd. Could he finally buck the trend of not ever winning here at Michigan? Finally, another Shangle to join the likes of victory lane here. Tyler and Monty both winless here, but Jacob has 3 wins at Michigan, which stands out as a very unique statistic. Here we go, Fireball going for the lead. Taden's going to block the run. Monty goes high and gets stuck up there. Sebastian Galloway Jr., yeah, with the fastest lap here today. Somewhere after the last caution, it seems. And here he is charging all the way up into the top 10, up to 6th. Looking on Jimmy Logano to maybe get up into 5th. Dude, I already banned this one. Why is he still able to send messages? Yay. Unpin. I don't want to pin messages. Remove. Yeah, how is he able to still send messages after I report it? Is what I'm curious to know. I could change it to subscribers only, which might not be a bad deal. There. Any duration. Yeah, set it like that. There. Well, if you're not subscribed, then you probably should be subscribed, but we have hopefully... Watch, I'm gonna get subscribed to by the bots. Go figure. There we go. I trust that the other 11 people watching are all subscribed anyways, so that ain't a problem. And it saves me the trouble of accidentally pinning and having to remove them all. But we got a good battle here at Michigan. These leaders not giving up any track position. Look at that. Monty going low on the 95, looking to take over second place from Fireball Robert. Oh, the 42 ran in there, stuck his nose, almost thought about going 3 wide, but settles in behind the 95. Alrighty, there comes the 42 now, trying to make the same move that Monty did last lap. And your top 10, they're all very much within range here. It's going to get good. Here goes Jimmy Logano. As it sits right now, all of your drivers up front here, race winners. Pretty much. You have Taden Bergeron with 4 wins on the season, actually 5 wins. James Fireball Robert with a couple, Monty with a couple. Then you got the 42 of Brandon Butler the second with a couple, and Jimmy Logano with 1. Sebastian and Lynn Farrell the exception to that rule. But behind them, Jacob Shangle and Finlay Herwig with race wins this season. 30 of Tom Cording still seeking race win number 1. So top 10. 7 drivers with the win, 3 of them looking for their first win this year. Couldn't have asked for a better tribute year for Greg Biffle. Our 16th anniversary of Sigma Cup, and honoring the 16 car, the driver of the 16 car all those years. And Monty has put on a great showing, getting 3 wins so far and still having a lot in the tank to fight for more. Six is about to go another lap down here today. That might hold up your leaders a little bit. 43 is going to catch him in a bad spot. Monty's going to be able to pounce and get by the 95, or is the 95 going to run around the outside of the 43? Doesn't look like it. He's going to have to cut down right behind the 43 instead, as the 6 takes away that high line. Finally, they get around the 6 here of Jonah Burridge as your lead lap drivers get around him here. We're going to be halfway this time by 100 laps in, 100 laps left to go. Green flag pit stops likely to factor in here soon, as there really hasn't been much drama. Alrighty, 90 laps remaining. Took my own little form of commercial break there. And it's still getting pretty close to something that could happen here at the end. I think green flag pit stops are around the corner here. We will be seeing them shortly if there's not a caution. And that'll definitely shake things up, as there might be some folks that decide to take the undercut or hold off for the overcut on pit stops here at Michigan. It is a very big effect when you come down pit road here at Michigan. Speed and lap times definitely affect the longer you stay out, and if you stay out too long, the folks that come out with fresher tires will definitely be making up a huge difference on pit stops. So the sooner you come, the better, but some folks might feel like stretching it a little bit longer for the overcut could be a strategy call to be made too. Jack Ross going another lap down here, the 00. We only have 2 cars that really have not found their pace here today at Michigan. They kind of got lucky qualifying into the main event after the big wreck that took out a huge chunk of drivers. They're really the 2 drivers that probably would have missed the race any other given week, but they get to go out there and get some reps in, even if they may not be the fastest in the field. Lead change to 95 goes to the top spot here. Fireball taking over from Taden Berggren. Goes to show you it doesn't matter how dominant of a car you might have, strategy could still put you up ahead of the fastest car here today. Even then, Sebastian has the fastest lap. He's still hanging around in the background there, but has not found his way up to the top 5. Here we go. The 16 is closing the gap on the 43. Could we see another lead swap here? There we go. Monty goes low on the 43 through turn 1. The exit of turn 2, is he going to have the muscle to get around the 43 here? Not quite, but he is showing his muscle here, and he's going to have a car very much capable of fighting for the win here in Michigan. do got to wonder, too. Doesn't happen in every race, but sometimes there's one of those oh crap factors that definitely define the entire race. Could we see one of those oh crap moments here tonight at Michigan, just like we saw in the sprint qualifier with your race leader wrecking out? Here we go. Pit stop starting to happen here at lap 119. It looks like Monty drops down low. Jacob's going to pit as well. Two teammates stay out, though. The 42 of Brandon Butler the second, and the 43 of Taden Berger, and a lot of others already exiting pit road. Looks like the undercut being performed by Finley Herwig coming in first. Everyone else that stayed out, the 29 waiting a little longer, the 45, the 55, the 42 and the 43 taking the overcut. With a perfect 80 laps to go, we know the window is about 40 to 45 laps, so this is almost too perfect. 43 coasts into his pits here. Kind of makes you wonder if he actually stretched it that far, if the gas was actually starting to sputter on him. 42's got the early pit stall because he qualified so deep in the field. And now let's jump to who will likely be the new leaders here. The 69 was up there. He made the undercut work. Jacob and Monty came a lap later. 39 is well on the undercut. And there's Finley. You're looking at your top five right here. 5th place Finley, 4th place Monty, 3rd place Jacob Shangle. But how about Wyatt Wilkinson and Lynn Farrell skyrocketing to the top of the field here with his undercut strategy, coming out with fresh tires first and foremost, and the race lead against all odds. 42 and the 43, they're going to be getting up to speed here, but they're a sitting duck as the overcut stretched them a lot deeper than they probably should have stretched it. Here comes Jacob. He's trying to make a move, and their team blocking, that is insane. The two of them blocking the line to keep the rest of the fast cars behind them. That was executed perfectly and kind of a dirty play, if you ask me. They come out there with the cold tires. They block both lines of traffic so that they can try to maintain a top 5. There's really nothing against the rules, but it is definitely a dirty move by the two teammates that really pulled that off. Expertise. Dirty moves for championship contenders there. Sebastian has a rough pit stop, falls back to 14th, it looks like. Taden was trying to hold on to a top 5, but falls back to 7th. I need to know what happened here to get the 39 where he is. Did he go even a lap sooner than Finley? Or did he have... So this lap, he was in pit road. And the very next lap is when Finley and Lynn Farrell pit on lap 118. He was already on pit road on lap 117. So he made an extra early pit stop and made a killer pit stop to boot. 4 tires, 2nd place, Lynn Farrell, man, crazy. Gotta love that strategy game. But now, for example, the 42 has about 4 laps fresher tires. So you're going to see the difference kind of come back to haunt the 39, but it shouldn't be by much. Track position is huge here. The tires are going to plateau, and the 39 is going to end up somewhere in the top 10 without losing too much more ground. So big move by the 39 of Wilkinson. Some very high-grade strategy going right there at the 39. How about Tyler Shangle Racing, number 69 Dodge Charger of Lynn Farrell? Not yet able to secure a win in the Cup Series, but here he is leading with 72 laps left to go. Him and actually another driver winless in the series, Wyatt Wilkinson, right behind him. Previous Sigma ARCA champion back in 2024. Wyatt Wilkinson getting the full-time ordeal here, Sigma Cup 2026. Affiliated with the LFG Motorsports Honda camp. Wyatt Wilkinson's got some good equipment lined up with him here, but there we go, 3 wide for the lead. The 2 that took the undercut strategy are going to get overhauled by the 42 of Brandon Butler II, who's got the freshest tires in the mix here. Here comes Jacob Shangle. Man, 3-time winner at this racetrack. The rest of the field better be biting their fingernails knowing that 60's right up front here. He could make it 4 races to his name at a track that he has figured out how to win. Lynn falls back to second here, but he's not going to give up. He's got the track position, which is huge. If he's able to pounce and make a move or capitalize on mistakes by the leader, he could be in the mix for the win still. I got to see, too, where this actually plays out from where he was prior to the pit stop. 14th, okay, yeah, so 14th, but he's qualified deep in the field here tonight to make it up here in the mix. It's pretty crazy. We go battle for the top 4. Jacob right there in the midst of your top 5. Monty lurking in the background. But it is Lynn Farrell, Wyatt Wilkinson second and third. Part of the sandwich between Burnt Money Racing's Brandon Butler II and Tayden Berggren. With 63 laps to go, Lynn Farrell trying to reel Butler back in here for the race lead. Monty on the move trying to get around Jacob for top 5. Finley Herwig also in the mix, still trying to climb back up to the top. Lap traffic is making the field struggle here as they are rolling roadblocks at the moment. Top 2 breakaway though. 42 of Brandon Butler the second, and Lynn Farrell, followed by a 3 wide with lap traffic there. Wyatt Wilkinson in third. Jacob trying to get up to 4th here. They are hoping for maybe a caution to get something sorted out here because it is getting topsy-turvy at the front of the field. But can we see potentially another undercut strategy here today that wins the race? We saw it kind of pan out for the 39 to get up there and the 69 as well. Lap traffic really spoiling the party up front here for now. So Brandon Butler running in the 36.9 bracket. Second place Lynn Farrell in the 37.1. The only driver faster than all that was Jacob Shangle back in fourth with a 36.7. So look out for the 60 machine to have some pace here in the closing stretch. But we do have one more quarter of racing to go and one more round of pit stops to be had. But can we see Mr. Michigan do it again? Jacob Shangle in the 60 has been dominant at this track. 4 wins in 22 races. That's some pretty fascinating stats to look at right there. Of his nearly 40 wins, he's had 10% of the race wins come right here from Michigan. It's kind of wild. This last pit stop is going to be the big game changer as to who wins the race here today. If the undercut served as promising as the first round, they're going to have to do the undercut again, but with a little bit of extra luck. They're going to have to hope that they can get as far out there ahead of everyone with no cautions and just set sail. They were only able to maintain the lead for about 10 laps, which is huge. If they can double that to maybe 20 laps, they could be in the mix with about 20 laps to go where it really matters. Because we're going to be seeing green flag pit stops kicking in here probably in the next 10 to 15 laps. 40 was the original window. There might be some folks that try to stretch it to about 30 to go. But that's where the undercut kicks in. If you go with 40, you get 10 laps of an advantage on the rest of the field. Everyone else pits with 30 to go. That means you'll have about a 20-lap advantage. And that, the wiggle room about 10 laps at the end is where it'll make the big difference. 39 falls off the pace. 60, he is thread the needle, slicing and dicing his way through the 2 cars there. Now up to second. Jacob Shangle in the 60 machine looking for race win number 5 on the season. 5 or 6, my bad. Let me look back at the... Yes, it would be race win number 5. Very few drivers have reached that critical point this year. Taden Berggren only has 4. There's very few seasons that Jacob has actually gotten past the 5-win mark. One season that he did it was 7 in the inaugural season, and he's never really reached that since. So 5 is kind of rare air for Mr. Shangle there in the 60 machine. Kind of in an unfamiliar number this year. He's switched numbers up a couple times throughout his career. First season he drove the number 52 before switching to the number 64 the following year in 2011. One season he actually switched numbers to 51 to pay honor to Ichiro of the Seattle Mariners, and won a couple races in the number 51 while maintaining the 64 as his primary number going forward. This year, making the big move to the number 60 in honor of Greg Biffle. And it'll get back to being in the 64 machine for Jacob Shangle next year. Probably more wins to come in the 64 machine, but this year is going to be a special one, honoring Greg Biffle and winning all the races that he has in the number 60 machine. Just adds to the unique, oddity of different car numbers that he has won with over his career. And the 9, if he dropped that hard, maybe his tires have given up. Or, like you said, just had a bad pit stop. But he's all the way back to 16th. Sebastian seems to have had the pit stop blues here tonight as well. Had a car up there in the top 5, top 10. And he's outside in the top 15 now. Jimmy Logano right there behind him. So a couple big names that had had a good run going, and they're starting to falter a little bit. Lap traffic dealing with here. Meanwhile, Jacob Shangle trying to run down the 42 of Brandon Butler the second. Brandon Butler was a little bit faster that last lap at the 60, is not going to be denied. He's going to try to push as hard as he can with the 42 as the race leader. .44 laps to go. One quarter of the race left to go with 44 left on the board. Pit stops going to be happening in the next 5 laps here for your leaders and the rest of the field. It's been a relatively caution-free day of racing here from Michigan. Taden Bergeron holding on to third right now. Net gain for Lynn Farrell and Wyatt Wilkinson, who were outside the top 10. Here they are hanging around in the top 5, and for Wilkinson running in 6th. He was back in 14th at one point, so track position is huge. Lap time this time was a 37.1 for Brandon Butler, a 37.1 for Jacob Schengle, so nearly identical laps between the two leaders. So soak it all in, folks, as this race and tomorrow's race at Pocono will be the last of the regular season here for Sigma Cup. And we will be rotating our broadcast style to Steel Horse Live, which is a new overlay mod for NASCAR Racing 2003. So much more customizability. The guy that built it, simply known as Steel Horse Live, I know he's got a Twitch channel. Maybe look him up if you ever decide to. Pretty big supporter of iRacing and NASCAR Racing 2003. He built this Steel Horse Live heads-up display, which will basically give you tools to create more robust tickers. We've got a great ticker already, and it wouldn't be the same hosting these races if we didn't have the ticker. Honestly, we need the ticker. Ticker makes it that much better, because if you tune in and tune out, you come back maybe an hour later and just watch the ticker for about 5 minutes and see where you're running. If the camera's not focused on your driver, it gives us so much more, broadcast capabilities, and I'm excited to switch over to it. And it's going to take a little bit of prep work. With that, also means I'm going to be updating the Discord channel to reflect new numbers. Give everyone their emoji tied to their car number, because we're going to officially have every car number hosted on the new ticker. And I hope anyone that has custom car numbers, please send them my way, DM them to me. That way, if I don't have the original, I might reach out for you anyways. Just send a PNG format of your car number. That way we can get them hosted on the new broadcast with Steel Horse Live. Super excited. I was testing it last night, getting the bugs figured out, and started tweaking on the Bridge to Cup charts so that we can get the Bridge to Cup series as the inaugural Steel Horse Live overlay with the full Cinda Cup Championship chase. 38 laps to go. Pit windows have opened up, and I will imagine that these two drivers here will be the first to make the pit stops. Keep the camera rolling on them to see when they do decide to dip, and whether or not that is going to be reactionary to the rest of the field if they decide to pit with them, or if undercut's going to be the way to go. In the meanwhile, your lead still kind of holding serve at the moment. Monty trying to work his way up to 4th. A late race caution would be huge here to give us one more fair shake with all the field fighting for the win here. For these two, they're about a full second and a half off their fast pace, while the leaders are only a full second off their fast pace. For them, the undercut seems to have actually worked out decently here because they have not lost a lot of track position. Still top 5, top 10 for the most of them, as the fresh tires are starting to cycle forward here. And it took them basically the entirety of the fuel run to do the cycling here. So, I mean, the undercut is a very prominent strategy that could be a race-winning move here. As long as this race stays green, we will see whether or not the undercut can contribute to a race win here. But this is the meat and potatoes we're keeping an eye on. The sandwich, the goodies. These are your drivers that will make the first pit stop. And how soon will the rest of the field follow suit? They know that the window's opened up to close it out. You might as well try to jump down there with them and eliminate their undercut strategy. We'll see how on top of the game they are. The problem with also doing that is if you come down pit road too soon and we do get a caution, the folks that do stay out longer will hopscotch over, and it'll totally change the whole complexion of the race too. So a lot of these drivers probably trying to stick to their original strategy of what fuel windows to reach. Ultimately, your undercut drivers have a limitation on how far they can push it, while the rest of the drivers ahead of them have a little bit extra in the tank. A little bit more lap traffic in the mix, the 00 getting passed over by the 42 and the 60. For 40th place, Jack Ross is multiple laps down here today, but he's still going to try to bring it home for a decent finish. It's amazing, only 2 cautions here today at Michigan. Pretty wild if you ask me. You got a Ford up front there, you got a Dodge, a Genesis, a Cadillac, and a Honda, all within the same zip code here. Gotta love the parity of the Sigma Cup Series, a lot of variety. And this year has definitely given us some excitement and promising talent that might not have seen otherwise because of the parity and the variety of manufacturers and teams out there. Well, they're going to really stretch it here, interestingly enough. The window is open for last round of pit stops. Anyone could come at any time. And honestly, even someone from 10th on back, if they decide to pit right now, that could be a game changer. No one has pitted yet. I do hear a car on pit road, though. Bradley Ream from about 20th. Here he is down pit road, making the first of the undercut. He made it his own. Back to your leaders, 42 trying to get around the 3 here. That's slowing him up. That's going to give the 60 of Jacob Schengle a chance to lead a lap. He does. 60 of Jacob leads the lap here at lap 170. And still no other takers down pit road, or yes we do. The 68 of Finley takes the second of the undercut strategy. This could be a big move, as that would probably put him to the top spot without a caution here. Tyler Schengle follows right behind him. Then it's Snake Plissken, Ryan White, Kara Schengle. They're about the second extent of the undercut. So what's the third extent of the undercut? Looks to be the 39 and the 30, taking that third leg. Man, we are going to have some varied strategy here. Crazy strategy. Hey, you're how the heck? So he must have subscribed. Freaking. Hey, right at the pit stops. How dare you? Dude. I must have a new subscriber. Harriman's Toilet Services. Dude, what the hell? Seriously? Some of the shit they say. Alrighty. Well, the lead group coming down pit road now. But who stayed out? Oh, wow, Fireball. James Fireball Robert staying out here with 28 laps to go. Do you think the big move is going to be Finley Herwig with his undercut strategy? Oh, and they're wrecking. No, it's Finley. What in the world happened? He had the move. He had the strategy. he had the move. He was setting up for the race win here. And a pair of cars coming off pit road hook each other here. Jimmy Logano gets turned by Chad Hertenstein. The 78 gets tangled up in it. He was on a move worthy of winning the race here. I think this kind of screws everything up. Wow. Well, there's our third caution. Everyone's on pit road. This is going to trap some folks a lap down. Wow. That's heartbreaking. Definitely demoralizing. Hard to swallow. We had the strategy working out in perfection. Simply the race-winning move that was going to be had here. The 68 had it, and shenanigans on pit road exit ends up collecting him here. 78 tangled up in it as well. Dude, 76 turns into a lawn dart there. So now we have officially 10 cars trapped on the lead lap. Everyone else is going to have to get the wave around here. Wow. Well, that was the big one for the most part on pit exit. We now have Brandon Butler II, Jacob Shangle, Monty Shangle, Brian DeBlanc, and even Braden Varga now in the mix here for the restart. Number 60 gets a good reset here. 24 laps remaining. 85 looks to try and go around the high side. The 43 as well working around the draft there. It's a 25-lap shootout to the checkered flag. We will see if we can stay clean and green or if we get some more carnage and chaos to unfold here tonight. Monty and Jacob right there in the mix. The Shangle family trying to extend their winning ways this year. Both of them have been to victory lane and trying to add on to it. But Brandon Butler II, Brian DeBlanc, they are no slouch when it comes to closing down one of these races. All of a sudden, Luis Rodriguez having a decent day after holding up the back half of the field. Here he is in the top 10 for the team's home track. KBM with a good run going here tonight. And there is Lynn Farrell in 10th. The field greatly different after the big wreck took out a good chunk of our heavy hitters here tonight. Looks like we have about 23 in the lead group, and the rest of them kind of holding up the back half of the field. Alex Crowther and Carson Bowers making a trip down pit road. 21 laps to go this time by. Jacob Schenkel leads the race here at Michigan. Yeah, he did. The 21 did get, when I lost the internet connection, he actually got disqualified. So if you look at the ticker, it'll say out, I believe. 21 got DQ'd for mishandling. Yeah, there you go. 21. 36th place, disqualified for his actions. Not a safe move to make at the racetrack coming off pit road. Here we go, 20 laps to go. Brian DeBlanc starting to reel in Jacob Schenkel here. Lead was a 36.5. DeBlanc behind him, a 36.3. And all of a sudden, what seems to be a trend that's hard to beat is coming back to fruition once again. Jacob Schenkel at the front leading with 20 laps left to go at Michigan, a track that he's been to victory lane thrice. Could he make it a fourth time to a track that he has such a knack for? What's wild is this was a race that Finley had starting to work out for him, just like Vegas. Figured it out, had the strategy, and then something happened. Yet again, Vegas and Michigan had some comparisons there. Finley was starting to figure it out, had a strategy capable of getting up there to the lead. We were yet to see if it could have been a winning strategy, but all of a sudden a late race caution brought out, this time actually eliminating Finley from the run. Has kind of hit the shuffle button to put Jacob in a position to fight for the win. Crazy how that stuff happens. History repeats itself once in a while. And just within the last month. Well, 18 laps remaining. The drivers kind of have what they've got right now. Monty up into the top 5. James Fireball Robert in 6th. Braden Varga there. Luis Rodriguez, Preston Kundo, and Lynn Farrell. Also mixed throughout the top 15 here, you can see running. Harvey in 16th. Wilkinson had a strategy to get him out of that 17th position and has found himself back there somehow. Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow to lose a race in such a manner. Had a good run going here today. Had potential. And now 4 wide for 3rd place. This is going to be trouble. Your 2 top drivers of the night, the 43 and the 42, in the midst of 4 wide action here. Monty Schenkel in the middle of it. Here they go into turn 3. The 43 is going to sail it into the turn and settle down in front of the 16. But that only helped Jacob and Brian DeBlanc drive away further here, as that 4 wide action slowed them way down. And here they go, 1-2 through turns 1 and 2. Lap traffic they're going to have to deal with here. They built a big cushion to 3rd place, as Taden Berggren had managed to lose the most of that move there, of the 4 wide debacle. Brian DeBlanc pretty much holding serve with Jacob. Not faster by much, but not letting the 60 blow away with it either. Now, of course, the white flag will end the race here. We do have green-white checkers enabled in case they are needed. So if a caution came out with 3 to go, we would be going into overtime here at Michigan tonight. Getting around the lap traffic now, the 12 there of Carson Bowers, and here comes 85 with a hard charge down on the low side. It has been a hot stretch of the season for Jacob Shangle in that 60 machine. His bad races are really bad, but his good races are really good. And continuing that stretch on into the end of the summer. Here, that 60 looking good. They're going to have a fresh tribute scheme rolling for the playoff chase, the double points down. Look out for a new tribute scheme coming. It's going to be figured out later which one it's going to be more directed towards, perhaps. But we're gonna work overtime on figuring a good scheme to run for the home stretch of the season. This one is kind of a conglomerate between the Greg Biffle Foundation and the Rowdy Energy Drink. Paying tribute to Biffle all year by running the number 60. Been able to win in both paint schemes so far. We might have a third paint scheme that we'll try to get to victory lane as well, going forward for the last 14 races of the season. But next race at Pocono, we are going to switch it on over back to the Granger number 60 and try to give it one more valiant shot at going to victory lane. This one we've been able to send it for about 3 races now. $11 laps to go. Big cushion for the 60. He's got a full 10th of a second advantage on lap times over the 43, who's now worked his way back up to second. He's going to try to maximize points gained here today. His competition right there in the top 5 as well. Fireball Robert, who's going to try to capitalize on points here today over Taden Berggren. It's going to get interesting once we get into the double point stretch of the season here. 10 to go. Lap 190, but it's not over. The 43 is charging hard. As you can see, he was about 4/10 faster than Jacob on the last lap. Will Jacob be able to defend, or is the 43 going to bounce back for a win here? Each driver here, 4 wins apiece, Jacob and Taden. The next driver to win will get that 5th win this season, so it's going to be a big move to make. Jacob needs to get around this lap car ASAP or risk losing the lead here. Goes low, the 43 stays high. That's going to be right in the middle, try to make the move, but not enough. Now, 8 laps remain, and it's going to be mano a mano between the two winningest drivers on the season here in 2026. That's a big move right there for Jacob to get that 67 between him and second place. Holding off 43 now of Taden Berggren might be a little bit easier with some lap traffic fodder in the middle. Goes high, 43 drops low. 60 is going to spread across the field here to try and maintain as much of an advantage as possible. Monty's working his way through the lap traffic now. Could it be a Shangle 1-2 by the end of the day? We will see. But here comes Taden. Hard charge right at the end of the race. 7 laps remain next time by. As Taden got more in the tank than the 60 of Jacob. 36.6 for Jacob and a 36.5 for Taden. So Taden definitely running the faster lap here. That's one of the cool things with Steel Horse. I feel like we've got some more tools at our disposal, such as head-to-head tracking, where we can track the positions between the two that we're looking at. It'll give you the live timing delta as to how tight of a battle this really is right here. As you can see, Taden's making a run for it. He's going to stick the nose down low. Jacob, he's going to have to defend. Is he going to have enough in to save, or is he going to fall behind the 43 here? 43's got a hard charge. Sticks it up high. He's going to close the door on Jacob, but Jacob's going to fight back on the high side here. Lap traffic a ways ahead there. I don't think it's going to factor in for a while. With 6 laps remaining, Jacob's got the advantage, but the 43 wants it. Carrying that momentum around the high side. We've seen it work before where you can keep the momentum on the high side. The 43 is going to fall back in line behind the 60. 5 laps remaining. 67 might be the big hero for the 60 team if he can get back underneath the 43. And he's going to do that. He's going to slow down the pace of the 43 just a little bit. We could have a candidate for photo finish here tonight. That 43 is definitely faster. The 60 is just trying to hold on for dear life at the moment. And it's a pair of drivers trying to reach for their 5th win, which is an impressive season to have. Have even 4 wins alone is a big deal. 5, now you're really talking. That's starting to put yourself in the conversation for a title. Jacobs lacked the consistency for most of the year, has had more DNFs than the 43 team. And the 43 obviously is leading the points for a big reason. .60 slowly trying to climb his way up the standings to put on a Greg Biffle-esque comeback and put himself in the conversation for the title. Once the double points, double down to the championship kicks into overdrive. Here we go, 43 again, makes the move. Jacob's gonna keep that high line in his pocket. He's gonna keep his nose right there. That's all he needs, is to keep that nose right along the right rear bumper. Carries the momentum on the high side, comes right through turns 3 with the nose ahead of the 43. And he's going to carry that high momentum right around the front side here. Drag race down the front stretch. 43 doesn't have the momentum because he had to get into the brakes sooner. 60 was able to rail it around the high side. But this time the 43 makes a big change in his approach. He's going to have the advantage now through the straightaway into turn 1. Jacob just holding on for dear life. Drag race down the backstretch again. It's getting good, but the 60 showing some weakness here in the closing laps. This time by, it's going to be lap 199. We will see the white flag next time by. So here they are drag racing down the front stretch. The 60 has the advantage, but the 43 does not open the door. Here comes the 67 lapped car on the inside, forcing them 3 wide for the front of the field. And look at Monty showing up at the end here. 60 is going to keep that high side still. This time by, you're going to see the white flag. The 60 falling the furthest back he's been in a moment here. 16's going on the high side around the 67. We're going to see some big moves being made here. White flag waving this time by. The race is official. No green-white checkers to decide the race. Monty wants a stab at it here. Look at the momentum that 16 is carrying. He's going to dive into turn 1, trying to steal the lead away. The 43 blocks the advance. And because of that, the push from the 16 actually made the 43 go further ahead. Monty drops back to 3rd. Jacob into 2nd. Tayden might just seal the deal here, leading the most laps and fighting for the win. Jacob's got one more stab at it, but I don't think he's going to have anything left for the 43. Coming across to win for the 5th time here in 2026. Tayden Bergeron, your points leader, cementing his season as a solid contender for the title. Wins here at Michigan in the Michigan Detroit Muscle 400 here today. Taking home yet another 2nd. Jacob Schenkel, no stranger to 2nd place this year. It was another great points day for him. Had a good showing, but just come up short here at Michigan, where he's had 3 wins. So kind of get to spread the winning around with Tayden Bergeron getting his first win here today at Michigan. But it was a father-son duo finishing out the podium. 2nd and 3rd, Jacob and Monty. Brian DeBlanc 4th. James Fireball Robert 5th. Luis Rodriguez 6th. Braden Vargas 7th. Lynn Farrell 9th. Brandon Butler the 2nd. And Preston Kundo, that's your top 10. followed by Tasha Wright, Louis Tross, Tom Cording, Tyler Aspinall, and Sebastian Galloway Jr. your top 15. Heartbreak for Finley Herwig, who could have won the race here today, falls back to 38th in that accident. Him and Bradley Ream both had a great go until Chad Hertenstein took out Jimmy Logano there in the process of pit stops. So well, one more race, regular points, and then we are on to the double points push for the championship. Congratulations to Taden Berggren on cementing himself amongst the top winners this season with 5, taking the top away from the tie between him and Jacob Schenkel. And they did it heads up here today. Jacob had the lead, but Taden stole it right in the closing, waning laps here tonight at Michigan. Great battles all the way through. He dominated and led the most laps and still was able to convert to a race win here today. So
Greg, did you have any ignition problems?
and another pole to win. Very few of those have happened in Sigma history, and it happened again here tonight as Taden did it from pole position to race win. Well, that is a wrap here today, folks. We got Pocono tomorrow, and I will get that all sorted and figured out, and we'll be looking towards Bridge to Cup, Full Send Cup Championship Chase. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to today's broadcast, and hopefully enjoyed it here from Michigan, the Sigma Cup Series. One more race in the regular season, then double points it is. So get excited for that. With that, thanks again. Have a great night, great day. Stay safe out there. Until next time.